Tomorrow, jury selection begins in the civil lawsuit filed by 27 families involved in the Aurora Theater shooting against Cinemark. That is the company that owns the theater. That trial gets underway.
And last week, I had a chance to talk with attorney Marc Bern, who is representing the families. I started by asking him, why are they suing Cinemark?
Keep it very simple, Marshall. It's a lack of security. That is our overall theory, our overall claim in this lawsuit.
There are a number of things that you cite in the lawsuit that you kind of put blame on Cinemark for not training employees properly, not having an alarm on an exit door that he used to go arm himself in his car and come back in, that no one intervened, that there are no cameras outside the back of the theater. Those are very specific elements that you're pinpointing to this that could have prevented this incident, perhaps. Why is Cinemark responsible for all of those things as a result of the shooting happening?
Well, not only prevent, but also deterred this potential incident, Marshall. There are in addition to the things that you've already mentioned, on the night of the shooting, Cinemark did not have any armed security guards. This was one of the biggest premieres in the history of Hollywood. The Batman Dark Knight Rises. This particular theater expected over 1,000 people for a midnight showing. It was being shown in 5 of their auditoriums. And even though on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday there was always armed security, on that Thursday night, knowing full well that they were going to have 1,000 people, there were no armed guards. And indeed, the shooter knew this. He had staked out the theater on several occasions prior to the night of the shooting.
We've talked about how they had security, they had off-duty police officers on previous occasions on Friday, Saturday night. Again, this movie, a Thursday night into a Friday. How do you get past that moment that, okay, well, fine, we've had them on Friday and Saturday night. This wasn't a Friday or a Saturday night?
Well, we claim in the lawsuit, and we're going to bring this out, that part of what this was built around was the general manager who had the responsibility from the bottom up for the security in the theater. And his bonus was partially dependent on keeping the costs down. So he just kept the security that they had always had up until the point that he became the general manager in 2009, right through this incident, right up until today, and did not increase the security, even though the Aurora police always said that if there was for every 1,000 people, there should be 2 armed guards in the theater.
Who takes the stand in this civil trial? Will we hear from family and victims again?
Not in this. This is what's called a bifurcated. This first part of the trial is only on responsibility, liability, or fault. In the second part, in the event that we are successful, then all 27 families and family members will take the stand.
So we're not just going to hear from Cinemark executives, we're probably going to hear from the employees who were there that night. How do you call employees to the stand who, in essence, may feel victimized themselves for having been there when this happened, and pointedly ask them questions about why they didn't do things that could have deterred or prevented this?
Well, we expect those employees, even though it's going to be very hard, and you're absolutely right, this is not going to be easy for anyone. But those employees will tell the truth. They're going to tell you that there were no security guards. There was no CCTV, closed-circuit TV, around the perimeter of the theater. There were no roving patrols around the theater. And there was no, and very, very importantly, there was no silent alarm on the door that led out of Auditorium 9 to the back.
Now, anybody who's been to a movie theater knows that there's really no emergency exit anymore. People will exit after the movie ends in any door possible, and if it takes you directly to the parking lot, that's the door you use. I've never heard an alarm go off on those doors. Why should it be expected that a door like that is commonly now used as a regular exit be equipped with something that would alert someone?
Well, this is very low technology, let's call it. A silent alarm, which should be on that door during the movie. The theater doesn't want people to sneak in. So, you know, if there's no lock on that door, anybody could get in. There could be a theft of services. But the fact that that door is not alarmed with a silent alarm allowed this shooter to prop it open, be in his car for 18 minutes, change into his gear, get his weapons, and come back into the theater alone and begin his killing spree.
What kind of wide-ranging impact would a result of this case have? Would I start having to, if I went to Starbucks, would they suddenly be responsible for my safety that they don't normally necessarily have now? Or if I go to McDonald's, or if I go to the mall, if you guys win, what does this mean for any business USA?
Well, I don't think we're not targeting any business. This is solely with respect to this particular movie theater and movie theaters in general, because there was a warning. Over 2 months before this incident, the Department of Homeland Security sent out a notice called a roll call release that said that movie theaters in the United States were targeted by terrorists. Now, this shooter was as good as any terrorist, whether it was ISIS or just this individual who came in to terrorize and kill individuals.
So this is the first I'm hearing of this. You're saying someone up in D.C. warned movie theater chains of a threat beyond this guy, a terrorist as a whole, that you're a target, do something about that.
That's correct. There was a terrorist from overseas that actually said that United States movie theaters should be targeted. And this Homeland Security warning, roll call release, was sent to an organization called NATO, the National Association of Theater Owners, that then was sent to the various chains and their upper management.
And in this case, it stayed there.
And at that point, the upper management received it, but did nothing with it to warn the various theater general managers and their immediate supervisors.
It'll be interesting to hear how that plays out in court. Again, the civil case for the Aurora movie theater shooting, the civil case against Cinemark begins tomorrow. Marc Bern, thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much on behalf of my clients.
We'll be right back.